Thanks so much for joining us. Today on LGBT, Healthcare, and Me, we kick off summer from a cabin in Cumberland, Wisconsin. We bring you part 2 of Body Image in LGBTQ Communities. During this episode, we ask, what are the dominant images, messages, and cultures around body image in queer and trans communities? And how do these images, messages, and cultures impact our lives? And we answer the question, what is gay summer?
What's your favorite part about the weekend?
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's fun all the way.
And as always, the importance of getting our COVID-19 vaccine series and booster shots. The last episode, we brought you information from a Mental Health Foundation survey that 53% of LGBT adults reported feeling anxious, and 56% of LGBT adults felt depressed because of their body image, compared to 1/3 or 33% of adults who identified as heterosexual. And we also shared that 1/3 of adults who identify as LGBT reported experiencing suicidal thoughts or feelings because of concerns about their body image, compared to 11% of adults who identified as heterosexual. Well, this episode, the Pink Power panel wastes no time in jumping into the fray, talking about dominant white culture.
Because they want you to keep up on not only your body, but the kind of clothes that you wear, the car that you drive, the house that you live in, the job that you have. And those standards are so far-fetched that I get why 1/3, the statistic that you put out there, 1/3 of LGBT individuals contemplate suicide or struggle with mental health in those ways. Because the pressure to be, to be what people want you to be rather than to be who you are, it's too much to take sometimes.
During this next segment, Wendell Ward, otherwise known as WOW, brings up a critically important subject, a subject that has by all accounts ballooned out of control for many persons in the United States of America, even more so during COVID-19, the issue of substance use and addiction.
For me, I was really last year, extremely a really bad alcoholic. So I drank all the time. When I stopped, I lost a lot of weight. And I was like, wow. But then the problem that you said that I probably should have paid attention to was the sugar intake. I was eating packages of Chip Ahoys every day, the regular size package every day to fulfill something, I thought was missing. And I had to catch myself and stop and just build, like you said, build a routine to start working out, doing more things, walking a dog more often, you're right about that. And it does help, but I don't feel that pressure, to look perfect,
You said something, fill something that's missing. Do you think that that's a big part in why so many of us have an obsession with body image over substance sometimes? Is that we're trying to fill something that's missing? And if so, what is that? Could that be children? What do you think that might be?
For me, it's
some of us, I should say. Some of us have children.
Yeah. I mean, I have a son and everything, but that still does fulfill what Mosaic and Joe have. You get what I'm saying? Growing up, I always wanted to be able to have a partner, have a relationship. So alcohol was my boyfriend, and alcohol, music, and fashion, And so it's that was it, But right now, I think that is something I was using to fulfill a void, and I had to pay attention that I'm drinking because of my sorrow, because of my past relationship years ago. And I've been stuck on that wave. And now it's time for me to get off of it, to start something anew. Maybe I will gain to have a partner, because in my drunken self, I can be a fool. Let me just say it like that. So the thing is, it's much better to have that. And so for me, I think that I do try to, compensate with other things. And that would have been food or alcohol at the time. And so right now, like I said, I think that's for me, what's missing is having that relationship with somebody that makes me feel like I want to try to fulfill something.
Montse's Franco brings up the issue of body shaming among those of us in queer and trans communities, about how body shaming can often negatively impact our lives. But then the conversation takes the necessary turn toward using positivity to patch ourselves up and turn our lives around.
The shaming that goes on, because there is shaming, there is body shaming that goes on by other members in the LGBTQ plus community. And so to speak to that, I think that really is a description of how somebody feels on the inside that is missing something, that looks to compensate by making somebody else feel bad. Because, in my thinking, in my head, in my heart, it tells me that if I'm a happy person, I want to see other people happy as well. I want to see joy. I want to produce joy if there isn't joy there, if that's how I truly feel about myself. But if something is absent within me, and I cause chaos and I tear people down instead of build people up, then something is definitely missing. And I think that's for each of us to identify if we've ever been on that end, because, we're human. We're capable of good and bad. We're capable of building up and we're capable of tearing down. And, there may have been comments that I've made that added to that, but in my consciousness, I create spaces where I build people up, compliment other people, definitely tell and try to make my husband feel beautiful as well, because that's more reflective of where I'm at today. And that's more reflective that I don't have much missing in me that wants to have some type of control out here to fill what's missing in here. So just working on patching myself up is the way that I am able to turn that around.
Well, in closing, is there one thing that each of you would recommend to someone who might be in their late teens or early 20s, who is just coming into the scene? Is there something that you would recommend for that person where they might not have to go through some of what we've went through as it relates to body image challenges?
Well, I would say go through the channels that are open now, because there's so many right now where things are a lot different from how I came up. Go to my favorite saying is to go to where you want it, and also when people are talking down on you, don't let that be a reflection of them and not yourself. That is one of the most major things. People's opinions are their opinions. They don't belong to you. They own that. So, but, go where people are open-minded, and I feel like you'll be far more accepted in that type of crowd, instead of trying to stick into the crowd that that you don't fit in, and trying to make yourself fit in it.
Thank you.
And I would say to all my brown-skinned boys and girls out there, they, them, however you want to identify to yourself, being Latino, we like to eat them tortillas. That we like masa, that we do it up traditionally and culturally with the food. You have to learn to embrace who you are as an individual, no matter what background you come from, Black, brown, Indigenous, Asian, white people. Whatever was, the staple of food in your house, that's going to be your soul food. That's what's going to give you security. That's what's going to give you comfort in the hard times. If you make any changes to your diet, let it be for health reasons. And as a result, if it changes the way that you look, more power to you. But you still have to keep your cultural identity and set your own standards. Don't follow the standards of the dominant culture.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I would tell a younger version of myself, social media and the dating hookup apps are not real life. Do not put too much stock into what people are posting on Facebook about their lives. Do not put in, do not get behind somebody who has this interesting or attractive profile on a dating app or a hookup app. Like, that stuff is not real. And I know it's hard. I know it hurts. I know it makes people feel insecure. I have great friends and great friend relationships. And I met them in person. I did not meet these people on an app. I did not meet them off of social media. I met them in real life. And I know it's hard for the young people. They're all about their device, their phone, their tablet. But there's a life out there, and there are people out there that will accept you for you, and it's worth it if you meet them.
This episode is dedicated to any queer or trans person who may be feeling alone or feeling bad or uncertain about your body, and any person at all who may just need a friend, because here, our sacred word is all. Health-related headlines begin right now. NBC News Out is reporting the Texas Republican Party voted recently to define homosexuality as an abnormal lifestyle choice and also opposes all efforts to validate transgender identity. The Peacock Network reports throngs of Republicans gathered at the GOP's biennial convention in Houston to officially reject the 2020 election results and call to repeal the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Under the banner of homosexuality and gender issues, Lone Star State Republicans suggested that LGBTQ people should not be legally protected from discrimination, and that being gay or trans is a choice. Texas Republicans also called for the ban of gender-affirming care for anyone under the age of 21. The party's new official stance on LGBTQ issues was unveiled during Pride Month. We've all heard of intercourse. Well, now there's outer course on Grindr. The 11 million gay men around the world who visit the Grindr app each month to look for sex with other men now have a choice beyond the traditional designations of top or bottom. The only other choice which has been available on the app is verse or versatile, meaning both top and bottom. But no pun intended, what about queer and trans persons who don't fit those labels? The Guardian reports last month that Grindr added a position called side, or a category for men who find fulfillment in every kind of sexual act except anal penetration. The new category of side has been added to cover the broad range of oral, manual, and frictional body techniques that can be used when being intimate. Some folks refer to these activities as outer course. And NBC News Out also reports that Postmates, Burger King, and Dr. Pepper, along with other brands, have released commercials with top and bottom gay sex references as a part of Pride Month ad campaigns. Some queer and trans advocates are worried. The new ads are part of an increased sexualized advertising toward LGBTs, a dramatic departure from the traditionally more rainbow-like images pushed during Pride Month by corporations and human rights leaders. Postmates, an Uber-owned restaurant in New York City and LA, recently narrated a video commercial for its new bottom-friendly food menu, depicting an eggplant in a harness as a top and a peach-wearing jockstrap underwear as a bottom. According to NBC, the commercial emphasizes foods that a bottom can eat while preparing for anal intercourse. If you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want, social media influencer Rob Anderson says in the ad's narration. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve? Not this Pride. Bob Wittick, president of LGBT marketing firm Wittick Communications, told NBC he finds the new sexualized ads unusual and problematic. Sexualizing any marketing campaign in this way is a risk, Mr. Wittick said, but doing so to target LGBTQ consumers has the greater risk because it overly sexualizes same-sex attraction in ways that we've been trying to normalize in many ways. Postmates told NBC that its Pride commercial is destigmatizing gay sex. In recent years, Burger King, Dr. Pepper, and Cottonelle commercials have all slyly referred to anal intercourse. And just when you thought you've heard it all in America, The Independent is reporting that Chinese researchers have developed a device that can detect when a man is watching pornography by reading his mind. The new device, as reported by the South China Morning Post, would help Chinese internet censors by detecting the brainwaves triggered by lewd content. Pornography is illegal in China. Chinese authorities utilize professional censors or porn appraisers to check social media for what they deem inappropriate content. The accuracy of the machine is said to be 80%. I recently spoke with Dai Vu, Minnesota Department of Health COVID Community Coordinator Supervisor, and Reneka Evans, Minnesota Department of Health COVID Community Coordinator Contract Manager, about how things are going with the COVID community coordinators out in the field.
And what are you seeing in your work, Di?
Thank you, sir. So, our family too have been impacted by COVID, and I know that the need for second boosters, especially for my elderly mom, is really important. So I think that this call would probably be resonating for a lot of people with elderly, family members or themselves who might be in a category where they are needing a second booster. But in the COVID community coordinator unit that we work with, we continue to hear stories of many people still looking for boosters and for vaccinations. And we are here just really to, for Ms. Reneka to show the how, the where, and the how, and the where and the cost so that people would be able to access it should they need it.
Thank you for the work that you and your team do. And Reneka, you're on the front lines, and you've been on the front lines now for many, many months. And so can you tell us now maybe what you're seeing now that's changed in comparison to maybe a year ago?
Yes, Todd, I am at this time, I am seeing more and talking about the conversation, individuals who are on the fence and hesitance. What does that look like when people going to their excuse me, vaccine events and seeing people who look like them? They're more likely to get vaccinated or boosted, or being open to conversations and finding spaces where they can get more services. So at this point, it looks like individuals who are sitting on the fence, and we are learning about how to help them figure out, like, what does this look like as communities trusting, or the attempt to trust, public health, because that has been one of the reasons why they're on the fence, right? The communities that I surround myself with or surrounded with, that's a part of the hesitance, the trust. And so we've been working on that as our COVID community coordinators on how we can best support our community on the relationships with Minnesota Department of Health and public health in general. So that's what I'm seeing.
And now for our viewers across the U.S. and around the world, just what is this monkeypox? Well, according to the CDC, monkeypox is a virus. It's a rare disease that's caused by infection belonging to the same family which causes smallpox and cowpox. Monkeypox was first discovered in 1958 when 2 outbreaks occurred in colonies of monkeys kept for research. The first human case of monkeypox was recorded in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Since then, monkeypox has been reported in people in several other Central and Western African countries. The signs and symptoms of monkeypox start with fever and then move to headache, muscle aches, and exhaustion. Symptoms also include backache, swollen lymph nodes, and chills, the incubation period, or the time from infection to symptoms from monkeypox, is usually 7 to 14 days, but it can range to 5 to 21 days. Now, within 1 to 3 days after the appearance of a fever, the patient develops a rash, often beginning on the face and then spreading to other parts of the body. The illness typically lasts for 2 to 4 weeks. In Africa, monkeypox has been shown to cause death in as many as 1 in 10 persons who contract the disease. Transmission of monkeypox virus occurs when a person comes into contact with the virus from an animal or human or materials contaminated with the virus. The virus enters the body through broken skin, even if it's not visible, or the respiratory tract, or through the mucous membranes such as the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. There can be animal to human transmission, which may occur by a bite or a scratch, or if you're preparing bush meat, or if you have direct contact with body fluids or lesion material. Gun violence is a pervasive public health problem in the United States. It claims 33,000 lives every year, including 1,500 children. Almost 85,000 more are non-fatally injured. While gun control activism is not a new struggle and gun violence has the potential to impact all Americans, the burden of gun violence falls disproportionately on marginalized communities. Half of all gun homicides occur among men ages 15 to 24, and 2/3 of these victims are black. Gun violence has taken an enormous toll on the LGBTQ+ community, from the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando in 2016 to youth suicides and anti-trans violence across the country. Our community has suffered terribly as a result of our nation's inadequate gun laws to stop gun violence. According to a 2016 study published in the American Journal of Medicine, Americans are 25 times more likely to be murdered with a gun compared to people in other developed countries. Transgender and gender non-conforming people have been uniquely impacted by gun violence. Since 2013, nearly 2/3 of fatal violence towards transgender and gender non-conforming people involved a gun. The overwhelming majority of those victims were black women under the age of 30. According to the CDC data, 2/3 of firearm deaths in the U.S. are suicide. For those using a gun, 90% of suicide attempts are fatal, while only 4% of attempts are fatal for those not using a gun. According to the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey, 40% of transgender people report having an attempted suicide in their lifetime, nearly 9 times the national average. Furthermore, 1/3 of LGBTQ+ youth report having contemplated suicide, nearly 3 times the national average. Intimate partner violence is also a major concern for the LGBTQ+ community, with particular vulnerability in the transgender and youth communities. According to the FBI, in an average month, 50 women are shot to death by intimate partners in the U.S. More than half, or 54% of transgender people responding to a 2015 survey experienced some form of intimate partner violence, including acts involving coercive control and physical harm. And LGBTQ+ youth experienced dating violence at twice the rate of their non-LGBTQ+ peers. And now, mental health matters. As of April 1st, 2018, Minnesota's suicide prevention and mental health crisis texting services are now available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People who text MN to 741-741 will be connected to the crisis text line. The crisis text line handles 50,000 messages per month and over 20 million messages since 2013 from all across the U.S., connecting people to local resources in their community. Now, for callers who are most in distress, the average wait times for a response is only 39 seconds. Here at ENN, we encourage you to get the COVID-19 vaccine series and booster shots. And please make sure to take care of your mental health too, because mental health matters. Thank you to the Minnesota Department of Health, and thank you to our Pink Power Panel. Well, what does gay summer look like? Quite simply, it's cabins and quiet, and birds and trees, and boats and stores and peace and tranquility. It's family time and bug spray and barbecue chicken and a few moments away from the hustle and bustle of the world. Remember, Deconstruction Zone, Losing Your Psychic Pounds, Rebooting Who You Are, the book written by Todd Michael Barnes and Louis Blaze, is now available to order on Amazon just for you. Remember, if you or a loved one still needs to get the COVID-19 vaccine, visit the Vaccine Connector at the website address listed below. Today, we again discuss the issue of body image in LGBT communities and the importance of getting the COVID-19 vaccine. We also looked at monkeypox and gun violence in queer and trans communities. But what we really talked about, just the same as every week, what we really talked about were the issues of self-worth and living with joyful love. Remember, LGBTQIA persons and our allies, you are not alone. You can find us 24/7 at our brand newly designed website, www.equitynewsnetwork.com. Find us on our YouTube channel at Equity News Network. And don't forget to smash that like button and remember to hit subscribe. Until our next episode and until we meet again, it's my hope that we dish up some respect and lead in toward love. For all of us at ENN, Todd Barnes reporting.